Welcome to season 3 of the weekend warm-up with Grindberg and Bigz. We have Schultzy, we have Chev, GPT, and we have Coach Retzlaff. The Dynasty Pulse has changed. It has evolved. And we're running back the weekend warm-up. It's what we do. It's what Grindberg and I do. We give you starts and sits. We give you values. We talk about the weekend, weekend's hits, the weekend's love life, everything that he does. Schultzy, hit that button. To another edition of the Dynasty Pulse Weekend Warm-Up Show right here on Fantasy Sports Advice Network, also on the Undroppables and 101.5 Talking West Tennessee on the radio. We're here for the weekend warm-up, and boys, we're actually watching official NFL football right now, currently, as we speak, that counts for their team's records. It's the Eagles and Cowboys on Thursday Night Football right now, yesterday. And it started. It hath begun. So let's get into this, you guys. Welcome. And what are we doing today, Mike?
Well, we're just recapping, Javonte Williams' 5th touchdown of the night. And I'm just joking. No, we're actually going to talk about some storylines, and then we're going to do stock up, stock down. But like the NFL season is freaking on, and we are ready to rock. I'm pumped. You guys are pumped. What's going on, boys? Chev, how you doing, buddy?
Oh man, listen, I am just happy that there's American tackle football on the television again. Like that's, other than that, not great. Don't feel great. This is we're gonna power through it. I'm gonna give you, hopefully I give you a Michael Jordan flu game performance and not, Bill Murray and Osmosis Jones type of performance.
Well, you're already starting off with a bang. It's great. Coach, what is up, buddy?
Man, I'm really pumped. We've got the liftoff to the season. You're gonna have, of course, the Chiefs and the Chargers lighting things up. And of course, Sunday, we're all excited about that. I just got word I'm going to go to the NC State game on Saturday, so I'm just jacked right now. 2 things. So really excited about it, and I'm pumped for this show sheet. We've got great topics leading up into week 1, all things relevant. And of course, we're getting some news about Christian McCaffrey, but I'll let you start on the show sheet. We'll get to it.
Jaron Chiave Sunga Pulatelli.
Yeah, there he is. Pula Papatelli. We love it. We love it. We drafted him. He was a great draft pick. Schultzy, what's up, buddy?
Oh, we're here. We are here.
We are here.
Football is here.
We are here, and we're ready to rock. Okay, well, let's get into our first segment, our storylines. Let's talk about the Gridiron Roulette, navigating the uncertainty and a couple backfields that we're going to be looking at probably in a microscope over the next 48 to 72 hours, the Commanders being one of them and the Jaguars being one of them. Week 1 of the NFL season. The world is buzzing around the most critical, unpredictable areas in fantasy, the backfield. So this offseason, both the Commanders and Jaguars have stirred up headlines, leaving fantasy managers scratching their heads. Jeremiah, let's start with you. With Brian Robinson gone, the Commanders' backfield is wide open. How do you weigh the upside of Jakobi Krosky merit versus unproven against proven, skills like Austin Eckler, who is 30 years old, but you got Chris Rodriguez. Is there a clear RB1 here? Are you playing the matchup in the committee dance? How quickly should owners be pivoting if one of these guys don't hit? What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, in Dynasty, you should have been selling yesterday. And by yesterday, I mean a couple of weeks ago when he had that touchdown run, a beautiful lane for him. And he has been putting in the work. The reports are true. It's not like this is fiction. Jakobi Krosky Merritt has been thriving all off season, and it pushed the Commanders enough to trade Brian Robinson. We're hearing about the Christian McCaffrey injury where he has a calf issue. Brian Robinson is going to fill in nicely there. Should Christian McCaffrey miss any time, we will monitor that. We are not panicking. We're going to be okay. But
he has a McCaff injury.
With JCM, I'm trying to sell. I've been trying to sell for a second Superflex 26 where you can. That's just the perfect price point. And in redraft, he's absolutely jumped the shark as far as price point. The win and the payoff for JCM is in best ball streets, where you get him in the last 3-4 rounds, and then where you've been able to flip and sell for that second in a 26. And I'm concerned about Eckler, Rodriguez, and the combo of Jaden Daniels, the split share, almost like what I would worry about somebody like Ray Davis, who, if he matriculated up, you have Josh Allen to contend with. James Cook doesn't always hit the ceiling that we would like, just for the fact that there's that Josh Allen threat. So I think that's where things can get split up when you're in managed leagues. JCM is going to be a problem. And in best ball streets where you don't have to worry, and from price point where you drafted him, it's going to be a nice profit. So it's funny enough, there's like this middling here where he's overheated, but past drafters have benefited. If you've been able to offload him, you're still benefiting. If he's still on your dynasty roster, you do just have to wait for some pockets of games, which will come. I see it for Bill Krosky-Merritt. When that does happen, though, I am wanting to sell. I don't see him as a long-term asset, but a profitable asset in Dynasty. And 2 points, he will fill in for you for your fantasy team in 2025. My problem is you're going to miss and play whack-a-mole with war value should you start him every single week, because there are going to be some dud weeks. Yeah, that's where I'm seeing. I don't see the high upside PPR mass volume with somebody like Jaden Daniels, and I see split share happening. So love the player, have been in on him most of the offseason. In a profit point from best ball bags as we're starting to play, but real concern in redraft, real concern in managed leagues and dynasty.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you hit a head on there. I think that's a great analysis of it all, because, a guy like this to actually hit, there's very minimal, there's a very small percentage of it actually happening, throughout history. So, you're getting that value of, if you would have drafted him in June, in May, like, some of us in this room did. So glad I did. I'm glad, some of us were on him earlier in this offseason. So yeah, it's a great pickup, but I don't think his value is going to get any higher than it is right now. So yeah, if you can get a 2026 second for him, that's a monster haul for a guy that potentially, yeah, he may hit, but that's still a great asset that you gained. All right, Schultzy, let's move on to your backfield. All right, Nan, I made sure I got this one, under your name here, and that's the Jaguars backfield, because I'm more interested in how you think this is going to play out. It's become one of the more crowded, confusing situations headed into week one. Etienne, to me, feels like the lead back on paper, but Tank Bigsby is expected to carve out a bigger role. You can't forget about Bashal Tutin as well. All the noise around him in the preseason, and add in the fact there's already trade rumors swirling around these guys. What are you looking for in this backfield for clarity after this week? You think there's going to be something that we can go off of, or do you think we're going to be scrambling and shaking our heads still after week one?
Oh, I think we're going to be scrambling, shaking our heads after week one still. I don't feel good about pinning this down for a hot minute here. The easy thing to do is to say, hey, look at Tampa Bay last year and how they deployed those two guys. But, well, now we've got a third guy in the mix here with Tutin, and that's where it really, really complicates things. I think I'm with you that ETN is going to be the guy to start here. But there's really no telling how this rotation is going to play out, how these snaps are going to play out. Look, they're not tied to ETN. They're not tied to Tank Bigsby, this coaching staff and regime that is. They selected Bashal Tutin, obviously, but these other two backs, these aren't their guys, so they aren't clinging on to him just because they picked them. We've had a lot of ETN trade rumors, but don't be surprised if Tank's the guy. I don't think that's super likely, but it's not going to shock me. So they've got LaQuint Allen out of Syracuse, a running back 4 on the roster here. Profile is a little bit similarly to Tank's game, but he also might already be the best pass blocker in the room. And that's, once again, it's complicating things even more. We've got running back 4 in the room who brings something to the table a little bit better than the other guys. This is just murky from every corner. This could be a total hot hand situation. I think looking at this game, though, what we're going to want to see is, one, how'd the game play out? So, like, game script, and then how, who got the carries, maybe who got the targets. And that might give us a little bit of indication moving forward. Let's say, we got the Panthers this week, and I think they're going to beat the Panthers. And I think the Panthers couldn't stop anyone on the ground last year. So we could have a nice day on the ground here. But is that really going to tell us a lot? No. The Jaguars aren't going to run away with a lot of games this year. So I don't know, man. It's just, like I said, it's murky. It's murky from every corner. It's murky from the coaching staff. It's murky from the fact that we've got 3 guys who could potentially see some touches here. I think it's going to be good in real life. Like, I'm very excited to watch this and see how it plays out for real life. Dude, this is going to suck. This is not going to be fun for fantasy this year. In the end, I think Etienne's the guy, though.
All right, man. Well, let's move on to the quarterbacks. And I strategically made this show sheet to kind of fit some personalities. So I'm excited to hear the next 2 coming up. And we're going to move on to the quarterbacks because, week 1 approaches. It's here. All eyes are on the 2024 rookie quarterback class in their second season, a crucial turning point where true fantasy values start to emerge. Couple guys here, Drake Maye and Caleb Williams, both carry immense upside and franchise expectations, but now it's time to turn projection into production. Now for you, Bigz, you were super high on Drake Maye headed into last year. You were one of the first people, or the first person I ever heard peg him as a clone to Josh Allen, and that gained steam. After that, Drake Maye walks into his second season with something the Patriots quarterback hasn't had in a while. The addition of Stephon Diggs and Travion Henderson are massive upgrades, in my opinion, to this offense, giving Maye a potential wide receiver 1 and a dynamic backfield weapon that can protect him right out of the gate. The O-line's got improvement. So if week 1 turns rocky, missed throws, protection issues, are you looking a bit overwhelmed? What should dynasty managers be thinking? Are you staying patient or trusting the long-term ceiling, or you think his value is still inflated by the offseason hype?
I think his value is still inflated by the offseason hype. Over on uncovered_NFL YouTube channel, I did a duo on my Raiders show with a couple of Patriots potters. We talked for about 4 hours yesterday on 2 different channels, theirs and ours. And I came away with kind of a better understanding of what the Patriots passing game is going to look like right now. You mentioned upgrades on the offensive line, and I think that the upgrades on the offensive line are not in the pass game. Will Campbell is a competent left tackle, but it's pass protection where he needs some room to grow. He's a road grader, and the run game is going to benefit from him. But the line is still shaky. They did improve as far as their weapons are concerned. The guys that I talked to are really, really high on Kyle Williams. Stephon Diggs, we know what we get with him. He's an incredible route runner and didn't look in the offseason like he had lost a step at all. So he's going to get open. Hunter Henry is a serviceable tight end. And the boys that I talked to were really high on Efton Chisholm too, undrafted free agent out of Eastern Washington. Then you have Demario Douglas, who's basically Pop is a target machine. So the things are in place for Maye. You also have the rushing upside. He had 481 yards rushing last year. A lot of that was scrambling. And the thing is, though, that it's a Josh McDaniels offense, and Josh McDaniels is notorious for not allowing his quarterbacks to improvise. So if Josh calls in a play and it doesn't go the way that Josh wants it to, he's going to have words with Drake Maye, and I think that's going to suppress Maye's growth a little bit. It's not the ideal situation. I'm still high on him. I still think that this is going to be a big year in fantasy for him. But wait a couple weeks. If he struggles, go ahead and go buy him. And the first week against the Raiders is going to tell you a lot. The Raiders' pass defense is pretty much hot trash. And if Maye doesn't have a good game throwing the ball, it's going to tell you all that you need to know going through the season. He should have passing success against the Raiders. It should be a 80 point total shootout. So watch this weekend and then make your decision on Maye then. I think he's going to break out, but it might not come until midseason.
Yeah, that kind of surprises me based off of like how high we've been on, but coming from insiders from the Patriots, you got to take that information for what it is, and you got to temper your expectations a little bit, especially headed into year 2 with a lot of different things happening in that offense, like we mentioned here. Now, Chev, this offseason, the Bears finally built like they were serious about competing, bringing in Ben Johnson as the head coach, which I love that move. They upgraded their offensive line and surrounded Caleb with real weapons. You've already got DJ Moore and Rome Odunze, but now you add Luther Burden and Colston Lovin to the mix. It's a completely retooled offense built to support a franchise quarterback. So if week 1 doesn't go according to plan, say Caleb struggles with turnovers or play calling looks too conservative, how should dynasty managers who built around him react? Are we going to panic right out of the gate here, or are we going to stay patient? Obviously, with a new head coach, you got to expect some growing pains here, right?
People want the finished product without having to go through the process. And with Caleb Williams, that's part and parcel with the expectations of a former number 1 pick. So if it goes, here's what it should look like. If we're going to compare everything to Detroit, then they're going to run a ton of 12 personnel. You're going to see way more Cole Kmet than you like. You're going to see way more DeAndre Swift than people feel comfortable with. And it's going to be Caleb Williams just having to play, inside of the 8 crayon coloring box. And that's his path to actual NFL success. He's got the arm talent to make any throw. He's got the mobility. We talk about the rushing upside of Drake Maye and the rushing upside that Baker Mayfield gave you. Caleb Williams rushed for almost 500 yards. He's the only one to rush for more than 400 that didn't score a touchdown. So he has rushing upside as well, to go along with the fact that he can play off schedule. He was just playing in a broken system. So I'm tempering my expectations a bit, just because it was playing against Brian Flores' defense is scary. Playing against Brian Flores' defense the first time that you have to take your offense out for a real spin is just just double Chinese finger trap level diabolical. So with this whole deal, I'm not going to panic if it's not exactly what we need. It was still decent last year, and it was everybody's ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater, and he was 297 yards away from setting the all-time franchise record for passing yards in the season. Not for a rookie, ever. So I think there's just way too much overreaction on young quarterbacks anyway, because year 1 can look completely different than year 2. Hell, the beginning of year 2 can look different than the end of year 2. Hello, Bryce Young. But we're not here to talk about that. But all that to say, temper your expectations. You're not going to see the high-flying iteration of a Ben Johnson offense that you got at the end of his tenure in Detroit. They're still trying to figure this thing out. And I think it's still going to be better than what people are giving it credit for.
Love it. Yeah, I think those are great calls from all you guys. Like those are great answers for our viewers that are kind of have these question marks about these situations. I love the take on the Commanders backfield. Schultzy, you got a lot of insight from the Jaguars, and Bigz. I was really surprised about the Drake Maye take, because we have to start thinking about that as far as how that offense is going to look. And Caleb Williams, let's be a little bit optimistic, even if it doesn't go as planned right out of the gate. So awesome stuff, guys. Let's move on to our next segment, which is going to be stock up, stock down, where every week we're going to pick a guy that we should be looking at as far as maybe a targeting or dumping. So let's start with Bigz. Let's do our stock ups first, and then we'll do our stock downs afterwards. So we'll start with Biggs' stock up.
A fitting time too, because we're watching the Thursday night football game, and Javonte Williams has 2 rushing touchdowns already. Javonte Williams kind of got short shrift. He got run out of town in Denver, and his value absolutely cratered. I think he's been going at like RB 30. He is not efficient. We'll just like throw that out on the table. And he didn't get a whole lot of red zone touches. He was 31st in the NFL among running backs in red zone touches last year. He doesn't do a whole lot per carry, but he does have a very underrated receiving game. He was 6th in total running back receptions last year. He's a good dump off candidate for Dak Prescott, especially if Prescott is looking downfield for George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb, and he runs out of time. He needs to dump it off. There's Javonte Williams, who's a very capable pass catcher. He didn't really get a whole lot of Miles Sanders or Jaden Blue or Mafia push. He is the RB1 in Dallas. They are going to be a productive offense because their defense isn't going to be able to stop many people. They're the NFC's version of the Bengals. So don't be surprised, especially when we see from this game, he's getting the goal line touches. So don't be surprised if Javonte Williams has a career year in touchdowns, but also don't look for him to, break the world with his rushing yards. He's going to be fine in fantasy. And after this week, his value is just going to go up and up and up, and it's going to be harder to get him. So if you have him, sell him.
The stock went up. Yeah, especially after the Thursday nighter. Now, Jeremiah, let's go to Schultzy here. Let's get your stock up, guy.
Yeah, for me, it's going to be Woody Marks. And this one here is going to be pretty telling in the first month of the season. And if this could go a multitude of ways here, to be honest. I mean, right now he's going to be 3rd on the depth chart behind Nick Chubb and Dameon Pierce. And this Joe Mixon injury is the reason I think we got some stock up happening here, obviously. But he might be able to play his way onto the field in the first month here. Like, we got Nick Chubb coming back, from these serious injuries. And I mean, look, nobody's expecting him to come out and light the world on fire. And if anything, it's going to be, it's going to take some time at the beginning. I've never been huge on Dameon Pierce. He looked pretty solid as a rookie, right? But like, I'm of the thought that if he was worth, if he was really worth anything, like we would have known. Like, he would have made himself known by now. Especially since Joe Mixon came in and just put up numbers on this offense. And I know I'm not trying to say he's Joe Mixon or whatever, but all that to say is, I think if Dameon Pierce was a legitimate player here, like, he would have made that known. So I think Woody Marks has a chance here to step in, get some nice work out of the backfield, catching some passes. Just keep an eye on Woody Marks and how the usage goes, and especially how the usage goes weeks 1 to 2 to 3 to 4. And then you get to make your decision. If the usage is ramping up, you might be able to sell, take advantage of some extra snaps and some hype. But the same scenario may come up and you might say, hey, this guy looks really good. I think I'm going to hold. Like, we may have a legitimate starter for the rest of the year here. So keep an eye on the snap counts for Woody Marks, the usage for Woody Marks, but more importantly, the eye test for Woody Marks.
Yeah, all those things are going to play into here for sure. There's going to be that's another backfield we could have easily discussed in the first part of this segment here. The Texans, especially after Joe Mixon going on IR, we're not sure if he's even going to play another snap in the NFL. And from the reports, Nick Chubb, you're hearing his burst isn't quite as where it was back in the day. So we'll have to see where this plans out now. let's move on to who's next. Let's go with Jeremiah. Let's talk about your stock up guy.
Hey, I'm really excited about this one. I love the call that Schultzy has. More of a peculiar player, so not like an obvious player who's just like a stud already. So there's some meat on the bone that you can get and some profit that's out there for what he marks. So good call, Schultzy. I'm going to go with Elic Ayomanor. The drum beat is just ripping and it's pounding very hard. All right. Like, hey, we're in the cement aisle. We're feeling it. Great. Elic Ayomanor, the Titans are going to be in a blender against the Denver Broncos defense. Patrick Surtain with Calvin Ridley. I love Calvin Ridley this year, but it's going to be tough sledding in week 1. But who's going to be open up underneath and over the top and in all sorts of parts of the field? It's going to be Elic Ayomanor. I see a 4-5 reception game, 80-yard total. The trick is, and I was talking to Chev on another show about this, if he gets one of those vivid highlight touchdowns, it'll really click for fantasy gamers. It'll be mass bidding on the waiver wire from week 1. And of course, in the dynasty market, that's going to help. The redraft informs, it's infectious for your dynasty. And I see Elic Ayomanor just thriving. We love Chigakonkwo, but between Okonkwo and Ayomanor, we're going to get somebody who's going to feast in this offense with Cam Ward, who has a Kobe Bryant work ethic. I'm loving how things are shaping up. I'm very happy in the one redraft team that I have Elic Ayomanor stashed on the bench. I differentiated from Adonai Mitchell, and just a great player in best ball, an excellent player that you could get late in rookie drafts. I recall last week, Bigz was talking about Deontay Thornton, and process-wise, round 3, 4, 5, where you're grinding the edges, getting a guy like Ayomanor later in your rookie drafts, you are going to enter a spot where you can profit as soon as week 2, because I see that 4 or 5 catch for 80 yards being enough to get people locked in. But if we get that touchdown, man, it's pants off and stock way up.
I love that the Titans moved on from a quarterback that loves mayonnaise to a wide receiver whose name looks like mayonnaise.
There you have it. All right, Chev. I want to hear what your stock up player is. Hopefully it has something to do with mayonnaise.
No, it has something to do with Campbell, or no, what is it, Greek yogurt? What did Dak sponsor? Dannon.
Oikos.
Dannon
Oikos.
Dannon Oikos. So the sponsor for Dannon Oikos yogurt is my stock up player. Dak Prescott absolutely shredding people tonight, right now, tomorrow, today, as of yesterday. So Bermuda Triangle time zones aside, we're talking about a guy in an offense that's primed to explode. He's currently exploding all over Lincoln Financial Field right now. Okay. So Dak Prescott is my stock up player. He's primed for a bounce back year. They're going to have to throw the ball at least 560 times. And if that's going to George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb and Jake Ferguson, and the Monstars came and gave Javonte Williams his powers back, this could be in a low-key elite offense. You know, we could go back from whatever they were last year to the top 5 unit that they were in 2023. So I want Dak Prescott in my lineups for, foreseeable future, as long as he's healthy.
Yeah, I mean, he's incredible right now.
God, Saquon.
Well, I mean, it's just one of those things with Dak that, every other year we look at this offense. It's hypercharged now with George Pickens and obviously Javonte Williams out of nowhere. But the defense has got a lot of issues, and we see it full bore here in this game. So looking forward to seeing.
Better for fantasy, though. I mean,
it's great for fantasy. I love it.
Yeah.
And don't sleep on Cavante Turpin either.
There you have it.
Yeah. That's another excellent point. He's probably on waivers.
Yeah.
In Dynasty leagues.
All right. So my stock up is no surprise to a lot of us, and that's Jacory Krosky-Merritt. Coach
Bill
mentioned him earlier in the segment, and his stock has risen, obviously, and some of us in this room were savvy on him in the earlier process, especially after that standout performance in the Shrine Bowl and his impressive combine metrics. I actually got him in a draft where, a dynasty startup where all of us are sitting in this room, and I think it was about 4 months ago this draft went down, and I got him in the 18th round. So, I was ahead of the curve, if you will. But some of us were ahead of the curve on him as well. So I'm not going to take all the glory, but it's despite, the crowded backfield, it looks like he's going to carve himself out a role. And for the draft capital you invested in, great upside here. And now he's going way above where maybe he should have been going. When you look at what Coach had mentioned, and his stock up here looking pretty darn good. And, for people that cashed in, looking hot. So yeah, Jakobi Krosky Merritt is obviously a stock up in Dynasty right now, and maybe he might cool off right away.
Sell.
Anybody want to buy him?
Bill.
All right. Awesome. Wait, let's head into our stock downs. We started with Bigz, so I guess we'll head back to him.
News came out yesterday, that Christian McCaffrey is dealing with a McCaff injury, and I went and checked my ownership level, and I have him in one league this year. I'm super down on him. Injuries they catch up to you when you're older. If it's a calf, it's a soft tissue injury. This is not something that's going to keep him out for very long, but it is going to likely, especially with the inclusion of Brian Robinson to the 49ers backfield, the fact that Isaac Guerendo and Jordan James are healthy now too, the workload for Christian McCaffrey needs to be measured. I know a lot of people were still drafting him as early as the second round, even into the first round in a lot of drafts, even in the last couple of weeks, simply because he looked great in camp. But he is on the other side of his career, and he just isn't going to bring as much to the table, I don't think, as we used to be able to expect from him. If you are looking for a cheap option that is going to give you high fantasy points per game coming down the stretch, he's worth a shot, especially if he misses some time early in the season. But he's just not somebody that you're going to be able to rely on. And that's what is making his stock fall, is the reliability. Availability is the best ability. And if Christian McCaffrey is not available, he's not helping your fantasy team. If you have him, you might have to wait until he has a spike week if you want to get off of him. But he could turn into, a cheap buy down the road if he misses some time. But we just there was too much offseason hype with Christian McCaffrey. I made a statement based on something that Koopa Fiasco, Andrew Cooper, had said. Don't ask what if he gets hurt. Ask what'll he do if he doesn't. And I think a lot of people were telling themselves that and invested heavily in him. And it looks like it's going to come back to bite him.
We shall see. What are your thoughts on that, Chev? You have
everybody calm down, okay? Everybody calm down. All right. Listen. Let's just be reasonable, okay? Let's see what it looks like tomorrow. All right. This is a guy who's on the other side of his career. Maybe it's just a maintenance day and they had to put something on the deal. Maybe it's just a rest day. I don't know. There's a lot of hopium floating around in my brain right now. So I can't give you unbiased analysis. So I'm going to give you what I want it to be. Me and everybody else that drafted a elephant dung ton of Christian McCaffrey this year. Okay. Yeah. We need it to be okay. We need it to be a rest day. All right. So
I'm not even sure if it was his cap that was listed on the injury report. It's just all speculation.
Yeah, we don't even know. I mean, he could have a golden calf that he's just nursing and it was tired today.
It was a dairy cow in the dairy hills around Santa Clara.
I mean, he did just have a little child. Maybe they were referring to his child as a little calf strain.
Well, man, they could have done any other body part, man. Just something different.
Right.
Bro, the
I love the
Eagles are out here
pendulum
playing
swing here.
longest yard. Like they're out here playing like the prison guards from longest yard.
The offseason pendulum swing on McCaffrey is hilarious because it started off as everyone was like, can't trust him. You know, he gets injured every year. He's over the hill, washed up. I'm not doing it. And it slowly over time, it took a few months, but we made it. And everyone was like, no, it's fine. He's good. Like, I'm not worried anymore. Injuries, whatever. Second overall, no big deal. And then the one report, we're right back where we started.
Yeah. See, football stopped happening. And then everybody was like, listen, it wasn't even that bad. I knew better than to draft him anyway. And I did it. And this is what happens. And now everybody's like, well, I mean, it should probably, I mean, like, it should be fine. I mean, if you follow the Christian McCaffrey life cycle like we do with Dak Prescott, he's due to miss most of the games again this year. And then next year, when everybody hates him even more, it's like, well, he's missed the last 2 seasons, so he's due for a good season. So I don't know. We'll see. He
had pretty much 2 seasons off at that point, right? He's got to be well rested, right, Chev? Like, I mean, that's the mentality.
That's all. I mean, that's what we were doing today, is we were resting.
Yeah. Whomst Humongous has not torn their calf muscle, you know?
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
All right, Schultzy, who is your stock down?
It's DK Metcalf. If I was a dynasty manager who had a lot of DK Metcalf, I would have been actively looking to ship him off my team all off season. Gone are the days of the 1,300 yards, 14 touchdowns. Like, that's just not happening anymore. He just came from an offense that's throwing the ball a ton more than, this Arthur Smith offense is going to throw it. And we're still, just cracking 1,000 yards and 5-6 touchdowns, which is, that's a very good year still. But when we're moving over to this Arthur Smith offense, it's just icky. Aaron Rodgers is icky. The offense is going to run a ton. That's icky for DK Metcalf. Every year of Arthur Smith's career, except for one, he's been a top 5 rushing rate offense. So if we want DK Metcalf to be the guy we want him to be, we need a time machine. Like, that's just that. It's not going to happen in Pittsburgh, in my opinion. I mean, I see some shades of like, he's going to be able to develop some chemistry with Rodgers, kind of in the nature that Adams did back in the day, in that, Jordy Nelson did, but it's not going to be effective like that. They're not going to be airing the ball out like those Packers teams were. It's low volume passing offense. I still like DK Metcalf, the player. I don't like the situation. I don't like Arthur Smith's offense. The value is going to keep going down, and yeah, I would have been trying to sell all offseason.
Chev, you look highly amused by this.
No, I agree with everything that he said. That's the reason that I would be out on DK Metcalf too. Arthur Smith is going to cause people who want to buy into this DK Metcalf, Aaron Rodgers simpatico. He's going to ruin that for you guys. It's going to be terrible.
It just makes me so sad.
It's gonna hurt. Okay. And if you love Caleb Johnson, guess what, buddy? Get ready to speak Arthur Smith for 17 games. All right. He had people thinking that Bijan was just kind of a regular dude. That's Bijan Robinson. He had everybody like, oh yeah, Bijan and Tyler Algier, man, they should be in the timeshare. He had you believing that was true.
Classic regular dude Bijan Robinson,
Hey man, spent the 8th pick on him, but Tyler Algier, man, he just doesn't know how to quit. I hate Arthur Smith so much.
Maybe that's why you were feeling so shitty. Where you're like, I have to hear about Arthur Smith when Chelsea starts talking about DK. It's gonna make
No,
you sick.
man. That was honestly one of my favorite parts about the thing was we just decided to just take a big old dump on Arthur Smith.
Well, I mean, you're just mad because he took Jonnu Smith away from you.
Jonnu Smith was gonna leave anyway. It's fine. I love Jonnu Smith. You know what I don't love? Arthur Smith.
I stopped using FedEx because of Arthur Smith.
That's how much he doesn't like him.
Yeah. UPS ground, punk.
For life.
All right, there, Coach, it's your turn, buddy.
Yeah, I don't love this, but it's how things have played out. Love the player, love the talent, don't love the situation. It's Garrett Wilson for the New York Jets. Stock down for him. We're getting more and more reports, and this has already been information in my brain. Braylon Allen, Breece Hall, Justin Fields. It's just going to be a triumvirate run out for the New York Jets. It's going to be a low volume offense for passing. And we're hearing more and more that the drumbeat is going to be more rush share. And what's going to happen is you're going to have Garrett Wilson be Brandon Ayuk level efficient with his targets. And I'm not a fan of that. I know Justin Fields can feed one guy in the passing game, and it can be Garrett Wilson. But I actually see his stock going down. He's not going to hit the ceiling that we want. And that hammer tier of guys like Lab McConkey, say goodbye to trying to match up with somebody like Drake London, who came from the same draft class. I just see disappointment happening for Garrett Wilson. Not a totally tank season, but just like a meh, just kind of okay towards where his draft has been, his draft capital. So his draft capital is going to be a disappointment for where he ends up producing, but he's not going to fall entirely off the map. It's not like he's forgotten how to play football. It's just a bad situation for Garrett Wilson. So it's a cap ceiling for him. And I'm just going to say stock down. It's a buying opportunity, and long form, if you don't see Justin Fields being the guy next year, it's a beautiful quarterback class. Garrett Nussmeier, man, he was dropping dimes. There's some cool things happening in college football. If you want to get a little tinge of excitement for Garrett Wilson, just know there's delayed gratification as we're here in early September of 2025, and you're not going to see that fruition until 2026. So I think it's just going to be a very tough run out for Garrett Wilson and early in the season, but it will present dynasty buying opportunities, which I think you can have an appetite for. I just don't think we're going to get that week over week home run hitter that we want. There'll be some boom weeks where you're pulled back in like Godfather 3. But yeah, I see the price going down, and do with that what you will, but I would say that opens up a buying opportunity.
Absolutely. And when we talk about stock up, stock down, it's kind of like stock up is sell, stock down is buy. I love where I've been able to get Garrett Wilson in drafts. He has wide receiver 1 upside. He can do that some weeks, but I don't think I've drafted him as the first wide receiver off the board at all this summer. I think it was as wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. He's like in my flex spot, but he still presents that upside. So thankfully his stock is down because he is a wide receiver 1 candidate. He might not be that in this Jets system in 2025, but that's certainly where his ceiling is. So get him cheap where you can.
Oh yeah, I'll be buying him everywhere I can. If this Jets season starts to tank out on him, he's going to be like the number 1 buy target because you mentioned it, Coach. It's nobody questions that the talent is like top tier among wide receivers. Nobody's going to sit here and pound the table and say he's not very talented or he's just not a good receiver. But you're right. The situation is everything here. And if it starts to really go south on him and you can get him on the cheap and they go out and get one of these quarterbacks, we're going to be – it will be bricked up for him next offseason for sure.
And he's got the contract. So, yeah, a lot of good things.
Bricked
Just
up.
need that quarterback situation to line up and keep watching Garrett Nussmeier.
Garrett to Garrett.
Yeah. Going to be the next storyline because the Fields and Garrett Wilson storyline was a button. If he can't make this happen, you know what I mean? I may not be buying him at this stage next year because it's just been the same old story. So we'll have to see how this plays out.
Forget the Olympics. I want to watch the race for the number 1 pick between the Jets, the Saints, and the Browns.
That's fair.
Oh man, we're already starting up for January again. Doesn't it feel good?
That's great. All right, so
No, we just got football back. Everybody shut up.
Yeah. Oh, I hate those. This is so dumb. What?
Hey, every time you talk about January, Voodoo Doll gets stabbed and Javonte Williams scores another touchdown. Get the regular season.
And there he goes. It's his 3rd one. Can't believe it.
Can we just take a second to be thankful for the mute button on your TV so you don't have to listen to Chris Sims say words?
Fair. Instead, you have to listen to us.
So good at football. He's just a good football player. I mean, he's just so good at football.
Look, here's a guy.
He's a guy. He's a guy. He's just gonna get out there. He's gonna throw the football. He's gonna throw it really good. He's throwing football good.
All right, let's end this show with my stock down, and that is, unfortunately,
You missed Chev.
What's that?
You just skipped Chev.
Oh shit! I'm sorry, Chev.
I was like, okay.
No, go ahead. My bad. Sorry, Chev. I'm so sorry. Sorry.
It would be really funny if when Chev is done, Schultzy hits that end recording button.
Yeah. Who do you got, Chev?
All right. My stock down is it was gonna be Tyreek Hill, but if we're talking a guy whose stock is down, who we want to buy, I don't want to buy Tyreek Hill. So I'm gonna say Rashid Shaheed. Nobody cares about Rashid Shaheed right now, and I don't really understand it. Hey, are we completely convinced that there's no possibility he could be the best and most explosive wide receiver on this team? Is that out of the range of possibilities?
Not at
He's
all.
certainly the most explosive.
Yeah. And I mean,
No, that's Chris Olave's brain.
yeah, the most volatile and I guess shaky part of all this is Chris Olave's brain, but hopefully he's got the aluminum foil guardian cap on his skull now, so we're solid. But Rashid Shaheed represents an explosive buying opportunity, albeit in, or the opportunity to buy an explosive player. So albeit in a really, really not great offense, but you still look at Rashid Shaheed and he's one of the most explosive, one play can make your week type of guy. So maybe you want him, he's more of a best ball dynasty type of player, but I want that guy if something happens and, my wide receiver 3 goes down. Nice. By the way, that was solid like that. But also if my wide receiver 3 goes down and I can throw him into my wide receiver 3 spot, I want that to be either 4 points or 25 points. I don't want Josh Palmer to get me 6 points on 3 catches for 30 yards. I don't care about that. I want it to raise the ceiling of my team. So I want a guy like Rashid Shaheed, and he's easily had in Dynasty right now as a throw-in and trade. So yeah, that's going to be my stock down guy.
And you talk about Justin Fields and the changing quarterback landscape in New York. New Orleans is a prime candidate for that because Spencer Rattler is not the guy, and Tyler Shuck is not the guy. They're going for the number 1 pick. We could very easily see 3 quarterbacks go bang, bang, bang in the draft next year, and you're going to want to be on the receiving end of their receivers that benefit.
There you have it.
I would, if that was on the books, I would put a bet on that right now. That QB,
right?
QB next draft. Yeah. No idea.
All right, and that's been another episode of the Pulse. Thanks to you guys for tuning in.
Yeah, thanks, guys. See you next week. Is there any plugs we need to do?
Actually, I have one. You guys, we need to have a very difficult conversation. Either you or somebody that you know loves pickles. I myself love pickles, and there's a little company up in Alaska at a big lake, Chris's Smoked Pickles. Go find it on Facebook. Send him a message on Messenger. And order yourself some smoked pickles. He also smokes relish. He has merch, including this pickle slut hat that I'm wearing. He does smoked trail mix. He does assorted meats and cheeses that he smokes. But really, the star of the show is the habanero smoked pickles. that are delicious, and the brine makes the best martini you'll ever have in your life. So go to Chris's Smoked Pickles on Facebook, send him a message, and order yourself some smoked pickles from Big Lake, Alaska.
All right. I'll talk about a stock down before we hit out here, guys. And fortunately, I mean, well, for some of us, fortunate, I mean, stock down for Amon-Ra St. Brown, but he's been the model of consistency, reliable. You know, he's finished no worse than wide receiver 5 in points per game. He's got elite route running, dependable hands, and dominant in the slot. He's got a high floor across, but you know, he's a stock down now because, you know, there's some uncertainty there with the new play caller potentially. John Morton's coming in. He's known for maybe potentially going to some more explosive play style, which would benefit Jameson Williams and obviously Jahmyr Gibbs quite a bit, which would potentially harm, you know, Amon-Ra stock in the future here. Right now he's going off the board as a wide receiver 6 overall, and he's even steamed down even more so. I've seen guys like Drake, London, Brian Thomas Jr., Nico, all these guys that weren't going ahead of him prior to this are going ahead of him now, which is pretty warranted in my opinion. But to fade him to the point where, you know, he's going outside of a guy like Lad McConkey or JSN, I think that is still a little bit ambitious in my opinion for a guy that has just been the staple of consistency over the years. So if that's the price for a guy like Amon-Ra, sign me up. Yes, his stock is definitely plummeting here a little bit, but definitely not to the point where we got to panic. He's still a very high quality asset for your teams. First in receptions per route run. He maintains elite consistency. His target share, might fade a little bit, but he still has touchdown upside. We saw that in the first 10 games last year of his season. So I still think this offense is dynamic, even with Ben Johnson gone. You know, it still looks like it should be very, very good. So I'm not fading Amon-Ra that much. I still think he's got a really high place here, but stock down for him.
The other thing, the elephant in the room, if you will, that people haven't been talking about is the disparity in rest that the Lions are going to have each week versus their opponent's rest. I've talked about this a couple times. We saw what happened to the 49ers last year. They were Super Bowl contenders going into the season, and they had an historic disparity in the rest that they had versus their opponents, and it led to a ton of injuries, and they completely fell off the map. This year, the two big candidates for that to happen are the Detroit Lions and the Las Vegas Raiders. Their disparities this year are even worse than what the 49ers had last year. So I'm kind of down on all Lions, and Amon-Ra St. Brown is certainly one of those.
Bigz, I really thought you were going for but we really need to bring up the elephant in the room, and something we really need to talk about is the smoked salmon is also fantastic.
No.
Awesome. All right, guys. We just did a show, the first one of the fantasy football season for 2025. Looking forward to the weekend warm up headed into every weekend this off season. This not off season because we're through that. Can't believe it. We're talking about the regular season now. And Javonte Williams has scored his 7th touchdown of the game. So we're all on par for what should be an interesting season, guys.
And Jahan Dotson is leading the Eagles in receiving yards.
I love that I'm looking at the live scoring right now, and Saquon Barkley I have in the 2025 Football Guys Bowl. He has 14 points, and Javonte Williams on my bench has 15.8.
Perfect. Great way to start the year, guys.
We're so back.
Plug our networks and let's hit the road.
Fantasy Sports Advice Network, Fantasy Football Advice Network. Catch us after the game on Thursday nights at point after Thursday. Grindberg and I will be hosting that show. It'll be a start and sit extravaganza with all the comments and everything. You won't see that this week, but next week we will be there. So you be there too on Fantasy Football Advice Network, Fantasy Sports Advice Network. Also on the Undroppables, you've got the Unhinged show, which is taking a break today, yesterday, tomorrow, because I'm going to be driving to Oregon, 9-hour drive. So that show is going to be missed. Breakfast with Bigz on Fantasy Football Advice Network on Sunday mornings, 8:30 Best Coast time. that show for this week is tentative because I will be driving back from Oregon during the time that show goes on. Fantasy forecast over on Fantasy Football Advice Network. Go to uncovered_NFL for your team by team coverage. I do the Raiders. Grindberg does the Chiefs. Schultzy does the Jaguars. Chev is involved, I think, or he may not be. I forget now. And I'm done. I hope you win.
We hope you win.
Hope you win. Peace.
Hey.